we are going to break down the top 4 mistakes that men make in child custody matters. And we're going to talk about how men can avoid making these mistakes. Now, to start out, I will tell you, going through a child custody dispute will be one of the most stressful and physically exhausting experiences you will ever go through in your life. And it's not something you ever anticipate dealing with. Mistake number 1, not being actively involved in your child's life. Now, I understand. When you're married, when you're in a relationship, you and your wife or significant other both play roles. Maybe she takes the kids to the doctor. You take the kids to sports practice. She drops the kids off and picks them up from school. You attend parent-teacher conference. However that division of labor is, when you're married or still in a relationship, that is perfectly fine. Being a parent is extremely challenging. But a huge mistake we see men make is when that relationship dissolves, when a child custody dispute arises, they don't step up and be involved in their kids' lives in every aspect of it. If you weren't responsible for doctors and dentists while you were married, when you're going through the divorce process, you need to make an effort to get to know their doctors, know who their doctors are, and know how to set appointments, how to take them, how to care for the children. If you weren't the one to drop them off at school, maybe you have work, maybe something else is going on, and that was just your wife's responsibility. When you're going through a divorce, when you're going to be separated, you need to make sure that you can perform those duties. Or worse, through the separation, they become involved with even less. You stop taking the kids to sports practice. You stop taking the kids to school or picking them up. And you have no idea. It is extremely challenging as an attorney to argue for more custody if you as a father are actively involved in taking care of the health and well-being of your child. You and you alone need to be able to meet every single one of the needs of your child or children. In doing so, as an attorney, now we can effectively argue that you deserve equal access or maybe even primary physical and legal custody. Mistake number 2, getting emotional. Now, going through a divorce, fighting off a domestic violence restraining order, or battling for custody of your child can be an extremely emotional time. It will probably be the most stressful, and it will be both physically and mentally exhausting. And we see far too many men lose their cool and become emotional. This can come in the form of angry phone calls or text messages to their former spouse or significant other. This can come in the form of angry social media posts. This can come in the form of outbursts in the courtroom. As a man, none of these things are going to help you. You're going to get labeled as an angry man. You're going to get labeled as an angry dad. And really, in the state of California and how we define domestic violence, you're really playing with fire of losing all access to your children. So in all situations, whether you're communicating with your former spouse or significant other, whether you're on social media, you're in court, you're in public, you need to remain composed and not get emotional about the situation. Mistake number 3, not following the custody order. Once you get a custody order, you need to make sure you are following that custody order to a T. In fact, in the state of California, failing to follow a custody order can lead to contempt, or it can give the judge reason to modify the custody arrangement not in your favor. So if you have pickup at 4 p.m., you better be there at 3:55 to ensure you're there for the pickup. If you have a weekday dinner or your co-parent has a weekday dinner, you need to make sure you're there on time for that exchange and taking every opportunity to spend time with your children. Because we see it time and time again where men don't follow the court order, they're defiant, or they're just lazy and don't take the time to exercise all of their parenting time. And it can give the judge a reason to rule against you when it comes to trial or it comes to an RFO hearing to modify your custody. Mistake number 4, failing to document. Now, this is a situation where women typically are much better at documenting conflict, documenting communications, making sure they have the proverbial receipts when it comes to any, especially negative interactions. A lot of times we'll see women will have the text messages. They may have a video. They may have witnesses. They ensure that all of these negative interactions are documented to where they can use them in court if necessary. We see far too many times there may be a situation where you're the victim of domestic violence, or she's the aggressor, or she says inappropriate things, and men don't document this. And when it comes time for a hearing, when it comes time for trial, it's less credible if we're going back and finding that evidence rather than that evidence and that documentation being presented on the front end. So it can be a huge help to your child custody matter if you get good at documenting all the interactions you have with your co-parent. So these are the 4 most common mistakes I see men make when it comes to child custody. Here at Real Fathers Rights, we've represented thousands of men over the last 3 years, going through the family courts, battling to see their kids. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it's informative, and I hope you can take these 4 common mistakes and not make them in your own child custody matter. Until next time, we'll see you guys.